apologies for being patient. Thank you.
Well, you do know your assistant does a better job than you.
You can see why the founder has been shut down.
I understand.
Thank you. I'm very glad.
No problem at all. Okay. Next item is ordinance 12-32, an ordinance vacating a portion of South 6th Avenue. The village no longer needs that area. Resolutions 34-12, a resolution adopting the village organizational chart. We had some minor changes of duties, no changes in salaries. And under other business, acceptance of bids for water pipe for ISCO Industries, Chicago, Illinois, in the amount of $10,668, and for hydrants, valves, and materials from HD Supply Waterworks, Washington, Illinois, in the amount of $21,116.50. Next three are acceptance of right-of-way dedications along Washington Street, 420, 500, and 508. And again, we want to thank those people on Washington Street for being so willing to give up some of their front yard for right-of-way so that we can improve that street. Number 5 is permission to request bids for the 2013 street overlay project. That could be in the area of $1 million to $1.5 million, which is the usual amount of overlay that we've done for the last few years. And then permission to request bids for the Greenwood Street reconstruction project from South 4th Avenue to Brentwood Road. Are there any items on the consent agenda that the public would like to move down to action item 8? And one more. Rejection of all ambulance bids received on January 31st, 2013. Now, are there any items anyone in the audience like to move down to action item 8, consideration of items removed from the consent agenda? Hearing none, are there any items the board would like to move down to 8? May I have a motion?
Move approval, Your Honor.
Is there a second? Discussion? Roll call.
Elsley.
Yes.
Hare.
Yes.
Herman. Kaufman.
Yes.
Newhouse.
Yes.
Yarko.
Yes.
Under village reports, it truly is my pleasure to announce that we have an agreement with Blaine's Farm and Fleet for a new store. I go back about 5 or 6 years when I was stopped at Farm and Fleet and asked for my zip code number. And I thought, now, why in the world do they want my zip code number? And I started thinking about it. They're trying to see where where their sales are coming from. And if they can see that more sales are coming from somewhere else, this was my conspiracy theory coming out of me, they might pick up and move. So I went to our local manager and I cornered him and I said, "You aren't moving, are you?" And from what I understand, he went up the ladder and said, "We aren't moving, are we?" And so that's kind of the story. It goes back 5 or 6 years with Farm and Fleet and my concern, and I think all of the trustees' concerns about Blaine Farm and Fleet staying here. Just to give you a few more stories, if I may. I'm an old man. I'm getting older and I'm about ready to retire. So I have a very good friend. She's about getting close to 80 years old. She lives 2 hours from here, and her daughter lives here. Every time she comes to Morton, she goes to Blaine's and purchases her clothes. Personal story, I go back from when we first came to town, and in that October time period when they opened up the toy area was some of the most fun that I had, buying toys for my kids. Saturday mornings when I go there and I buy a light switch or I do whatever and meet all of my friends who happen to be there buying things. We came extremely close to losing that. And this town, it would have been a major loss for this town, just for the quality of life. Another thing that would have been a major loss is a rather significant part of our sales tax that we receive from Farm and Fleet that goes to our budget and allows us to do the many things that we do here. So with that little introduction, I'm going to ask Mr. Blaine if he would come forward. Chairman, President of Blaine Farm and Fleet, and just if you'd be kind enough to come forward and give a little information for us, and then I'm going to be asking for I'm going to be asking for someone else in the audience to come forward, and then I'll be asking for a motion. Mr. Blaine.
Are we on? Okay, good. Thank you for your kind remarks, Mr. Mayor. This is a tough act to follow. I appreciate your kind words. As the mayor's pointed out, excuse me, I'm Robert Blaine, president of Blaine's Farm and Fleet. With me tonight is Bill Shint, our chief financial officer, Neil Van Loo, our director of engineering, and George Stile, our corporate attorney. It's true, we have been in Morton since 1974. My father and my uncle decided that Morton was the right place for us as a business to essentially put down roots and grow and be part of the community. We have, as I think all of you know, in many respects outgrown the existing facility. It's served us well, but it's gotten a bit dated. We have some land issues as far as the configuration of our lot is concerned. Excuse me. And subsequently, we did decide that we needed to embark on looking for another site to locate a store. We did talk with other municipalities about the possibility of locating there, and I think through the example that the mayor gave in terms of the zip code data capture, yes, we do look to see where our business does come from. And certainly the Morton community and the surrounding areas have been very supportive of us, and we didn't want to lose sight of that. The site that we're looking at acquiring is located essentially across from Walmart on North Morton Avenue and Cortlandt. Our store would essentially be right across from the Walmart, driveways lining up, as you see here on the site plan, as well as on Walton Avenue. Sorry about that. This is the facade of the building that we would be looking to put up in Morton. It's a combination of precast, masonry, and man-made stone, as well as ephes and some corrugated architectural panels. This is a view of the auto service area that you see with the auto service bays, the waiting area. Moving down the line is a sign that we've put up in our Rockton, Illinois store, which is what we would look to use on this project. Farther down towards the end is our outdoor storage, display and sales area. And then along the front is, at the far end, is our garden center that we'd look to incorporate into our facility here, as well as an interior shot of the store itself. Neil, is there anything else you would like to cover? Essentially, that's the scope of the project we're looking at. It's about 127,000 square feet. The retail, that includes both levels. The upper level is office, break room area, storage for just general materials, as well as our locker rooms and restrooms for our employees. And the main level of the store would encompass about 114,000 square feet, and that would include the auto service center area. Any other
Any
questions?
questions, Mr. Blaine? Yes. Brent? Brent?
A question really pertaining to the agreement. but,
Okay, we'll do that after
yeah.
the motion. Okay.
Sure.
I think that the news release has some information about the intended results. Is that correct? We talked about increase in relative sales tax and property tax.
Be happy to do that. I didn't know if
No,
you
go
were,
right ahead.
you were looking to incorporate that
Nope.
or not. Let me get my notes here. Essentially, based on our meetings with the village, Farm and Fleet will be paying in excess of $100,000 in village fees. A very conservative estimate, a 40% increase in the sales tax revenue that the village gets through their rebate from the state of Illinois. We believe that there's will be an additional roughly $70,000 of incremental increase in property taxes that will be paid to the village on an annual basis. As far as the project scope itself is concerned, there's approximately 20 different building trades that will be involved in the project over the start all the way to the completion. Approximately 270 tradespeople actually touch the project in some manner. It's certainly our hope to be able to work with as many qualified, locally based contractors that we can come in contact with in the community. At present, our estimation is we will be adding an additional 20 jobs on top of the current 87 positions that we have with the company. So I think you can gather from what I've indicated, it's a fairly large project. Any other questions?
Oh, yeah. Potential opening date.
Well, assuming everything goes in an orderly and timely fashion, we're looking to open the store in July of 14.
Okay.
It's approximately 11 months from the time we actually begin the site work until the time we open the store for business. Neil? Go ahead.
Regarding my name's Neil Van Loo, I'm Director of Engineering for Blaine's Farm and Fleet. Just a couple things that on the site plan that I would like to just mention. Yeah, let's set that back up and I can kind of half point to it. Our access points are going to be off of North Morton Avenue with just a right in, right out. We're going to have an access point off of East Cortlandt Street, which that'll also become a right in, right out. And then the extension of Walton Avenue will have two access points. One mainly for our customers, cars, trucks, for our, passenger cars, farm trucks, whatever. Our main delivery trucks will be using which would be the south access point. We've already been working with the Village Engineering and Public Works Department as far as what utilities are required and the extension of utilities and any road improvements. One thing that we've agreed to also with the village on is when the reconstruction of North Morton Avenue goes, they're going to need some additional right-of-way. So we're dedicating along North Morton Avenue, we're dedicating at least 15 feet of right-of-way to get whatever improvements are needed. And then also along Cortlandt Street, the full length of the property, we're going to be dedicating an additional 20 feet along East Cortlandt for whatever road improvements are needed at that time. I think that's it for so far.
As you can tell, we don't do this for a living. We're a little bit disorganized. But one thing I do want to mention as to why we decided to remain in the village of Morton, and that was the willingness of the city officials to work with us on some of the access and the egress issues that this site does present to us. I think they were very practical-minded, very fair in terms of what they were asking of us, and we tried to do exactly the same in terms of our dealings with them. As I said, working with the city has been very much a pleasant experience. As I said before, we've been in this community since 1974, and it was our sincere desire to be able to remain in the community. And through the work that they did, along with the Economic Development Group, it enabled us to be able to pull this project together and to give the village hopefully a new store in July of 14. Thank you.
Thank you. Just a couple of points I'd like to add on to is, the first is the streets. There will be street improvements on Cortland. Whether Farm and Fleet had gone there or not, or someone else had decided to come to that approximately 27, 28 acres, there would have to be changes in the streets, widening the streets. We verified that with our engineering firm that we use, and there was no question that absolutely had to be done. We don't want Cortland to turn into a traffic mess like some communities have, and so that will be worked on. There will be an addition to Walton, which is beside Heartland Bank, across the street. That street will be going south about 1,000 feet, and will then turn into the backside of Blaine's. Also in the process, the village is going to purchase the Farm and Fleet building. That purchase will be for a 15-year contract for deed at $133,333.33. We have checked with real estate brokers, and there's no question that we will be able to rent that facility. If we cannot sell it, most likely we will be selling it. The amount of revenue that we will be receiving from this, the additional revenue, if we cannot sell it, the additional revenue would cover that cost until the point of time that we can, or if we could not rent it. The choice was, and it'll be the choice we have, and bottom line, we can sit there and say, well, cities should not get into the purchasing of property or anything like that, but the bottom line is, we would not have had them. So we have a very good financial deal with Farm and Fleet. They could have come back and said, we want you to buy the building and you're going to put up the money up front. And they did not. They allowed 15 years interest-free. We've already made some there have been some contacts, people not knowing about the Farm and Fleet, asking, do we have any facilities of approximately that size that they could purchase or rent? So we do not feel that there's going to be a problem with that process. And again, I want to thank the Blaines and the corporation for giving us a deal on that. But again, bottom line, if you want Farm and Fleet, this is what it's going to take. And it's not $42 million for a Bass Pro. It is an amount of money that can be handled by this community, and the amount of money that we can receive back from a renter or a purchaser. So with that, I've got. I want to ask for a motion to approve the resolution 12-31. I'm sorry. I'm going to do him after the discussion. Motion?
So moved.
Second?
Second.
Discussion. Board members. I think you called for it first.
I did. A question just for clarity on the development agreement. One of the obligations by the village is to, as was mentioned, to extend Walton Avenue approximately 1,000 feet.
Right.
Is the water and sewer taps for this development, and I know Craig is not here tonight, Craig Loudermilk, our Superintendent of Public Works, but the water and sewer taps coming in on Morton or Cortland?
Off Cortland.
And so the obligation by the village to extend Walton is just for the surface, the pavement, the street itself, not water and sewer?
As of right now, it's the pavement, yes. Okay. We may have to come back and talk to you about that, but as of right now, it's the pavement. And the reason for doing that was I think Farm and Fleet would prefer to have a stoplight closer to North Morton Avenue. But again, for traffic control and everything, with the stoplight that's at Walton next to the bank, that was the best place, and so therefore the engineer stated we should go that way. And that was not Mr. Laudermilk, that was an outside engineering firm. But we will be coming back to the Walton. That is in negotiations with the landowner that owns that land.
Thank you.
Okay? Others?
In the agreement, it has tap on fees and hookup fees. Farm Fleet will be paying the normal and customary fees in the agreement. Just to speak about the old Farm Fleet building, I think it's a very good deal for this community. We don't have to make the first payment of the $133,000 for 1 year after they vacate it. So we have 12 months after they vacate it. So really it's from now till they build it, and 1 year after that till we ever make a payment. So that's going to be close to 2 years that we can market this building, and I think we won't have any trouble filling that building. You can't replace that building for $2 million. The parking lot and water retention alone would be hundreds of thousands.
That's approximately the appraised value of it, appraised by the township appraiser.
So I don't think we'll have any problem getting some property tax and sales tax from that facility.
I'm trying to remember how much the development fees at Farm and Fleet were having to pay off the top of my head.
The development fee is $3,270 per acre.
Per acre.
For the new portion, the older portion that was already covered by existing ordinance came in at 519. So the total was a little less than 27 times 3250 or whatever it is.
So they will be paying development fees of significant amount of money.
Plus, Mr. Laudermilk had informed me that the ground that they are giving us, the 15 feet setbacks, that's worth several thousands of dollars. So they have been very cooperative getting us our ground for our bike trails and road improvements, which Cortland was originally designed for another lane. It just wasn't originally put in because nobody knew what was coming. Now that day is here.
Any others? I've asked Mike Witzig, one of the business people in the community, to speak to this point. So would you mind coming forward, Mike? And
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Short, three basic areas I'd just like to cover. Being a business owner in Morton, as well as being part of the EDC since its inception, I want to speak first on the involvement of the EDC and how that's been helping and coordinating with the village and with the Blaine people. So in the inception of the EDC, we had two primary goals. One was business retention, and one was business recruitment. And a little over 50-some investors have been put into this EDC organization. And Farm and Fleet just is an exact reason why we got involved. Not only are we having a business retention goal here of keeping a very valuable business entity here in Morton, but also in a way, indirectly we have business recruitment because the ability to Farm and Fleet relocate and as well as maybe expand. And we thought I think that's the exact reason why we became an organization. A lot of hard work from everybody involved here, especially our EDC staff, Jennifer and Jaylee and Kim Mulig. We've just had a lot of coordination with all of the people involved, and it just shows how much dedication we all have to this community and why we think keeping a business is really, really important. So I'd like to thank Farm and Fleet for staying. The values of your corporation match the culture of our community. And it's such a viable asset. We all know, at least I do, every Saturday morning my day starts at Farm and Fleet for some reason or another. And I love the smell. I don't know about that. But from the CPA background that I have and the accounting background, if you do the math, it's not that hard to figure this out. The cash flow may not be exactly the amount of outflow right now for this project. But the shortfall is very small and it's very temporary. There's a lot of plus, the ability, of my understanding, is the additional outlots could be sold, the increase in revenue, and it's just a potential gain from that point of view. Next would be we are not losing considerable amount of sales tax revenue because we're keeping a business, and that's a plus. And the asset that the village is buying is a revenue-producing asset, either by selling it or by leasing and getting rental income. So from my background, from the CPA point of view, that's my business background, it was kind of easy to figure out. And it's a balance sheet shift, really. You're taking, adding an asset to the village balance sheet, which is the farm and fleet, and you are creating a liability, but it's a wash. And the asset itself is a generator of revenue. So I think it's a wise move. And the last thing, for many of you know, I was involved in a family business here. A little over 19 years ago, we closed our doors. It is not a good thing to close a door of a business. It is not a good thing to lose a business. It's not good for the village. It's not good for the reputation and the image. It's not good for people trying to recover. And it says something. And I encourage all of you to consider that. You're saying something. You're saying this is a place that we want to be, and this is a business that we want to retain. So I would encourage you to consider that. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other discussion? May I have a roll call?
Hare.
Yes.
Herman.
Yes.
Kaufman.
Yes.
Newhouse.
Yes.
Yarko.
Yes.
Elsley.
Yes.
It's my extreme pleasure to say the motion is passed. So. And I realize that you've got a meeting very early tomorrow morning, so feel free to gather up your things, and I'm sure you'll be back in town, at least in a year and a few months at the latest. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, Mr. Clerk, do you have anything?
Nothing tonight, Your Honor.
Okay, Ms. Farrell.
I'm asking approval to
Can you move closer to
transfer.
the mic for us?
Tonight, I'm asking approval to transfer $2,000 from the Water and Wastewater Depreciation Fund and $22,000 from the General Fund to the Capital Projects Fund.
So moved.
Any discussion? Roll call.
Kaufman.
Yes.
Newhouse. Yes. Yarko. Yes. Elsley.
Yes.
Hare.
Yes.
Herman.
Yes.
The second item on my list is ordinance number 12-29, an ordinance adding Title 12, Chapter 3, Section 18 to the Morton Municipal Code. This is regarding procedure for submittal of employee evaluations. As you're all aware, we had been working with Voorhees and Associates on that compensation study, and you will probably see more and more changes like this as we put policies in place to support all that they worked on with us. And basically what this is it's just putting in the code that all the supervisors will complete and sign their employee evaluations by the 15th of December. Just saying who needs to be aware of it, who's access to those, which would be the president, board of trustees, mayor pro tem, and the village administrator. Salary increases will not be granted until I've received them checked off on all of them, which was a recommendation of Voorhees and Associates. And then just saying if there's a change in position that the board members will be made aware of it beforehand. Just keep us all on the same page. So that's all this one is about.
Okay, may I have a motion?
So moved.
Second?
Discussion? Roll call.
Herman.
Yes.
Kaufman.
Yes.
Newhouse.
Yes.
Yarko.
Yes.
Elsley.
Yes.
Hare.
Yes.
Chief?
Just announcing that we're doing our drug take back again for expired drugs, prescription drugs. It's the 6th time that we've been doing it. It'll be Saturday, April 27th from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. in our police station. We take all solids, any liquids in the original container. We don't take any intravenous or items or syringes.
Okay, great. Great service to the community. Thanks for doing that again.
And it is posted on our website, the village website, as well as our Facebook.
And could we send that out on our, whatever we call that, the email notice that we have? Great.
We have that on Channel 22, too.
Channel 22.
All reasons not to flush down the toilet for the wastewater and the EPA fees and everything else, so.
All right, Counselor.
Yes, I'd like to follow up on a matter that I had questions on. I think other people did about an article that was in the paper indicating that village employees may be embroiled in local politics. I felt it was my duty to look into that and to see what was meant by that, whether there was anything going on that the board should know about or that could possibly be illegal, because you are not supposed to act in, while working for the village into politics. I'm happy to say from what I've determined, there was only one isolated incident that occurred approximately 8 o'clock at night that could even be considered politics. There's no employees engaging in politics on the job or otherwise for that matter, so I think the public needs to know the matter's concluded.
Piece of information. The law stipulates that there cannot be any political activity during the workday.
Correct.
But on their own time at night, that is allowed under their first,
Yes.
their freedom of speech?
Right, yeah, you do have freedom of speech, but even to that regard, I'm really not aware of any particular conduct, as that's the tact I take as corporation counsel, since I represent everyone, so I don't tend to get involved one way or another other than to look out for the village and the employees.
And I think your usual process for any time that a suggestion of impropriety that you do this, plus you usually notify Mr. Umholtz, don't you, or not?
Well, yes, yeah. He's the supreme law enforcement official in the county, which he would certainly overrule whatever I would or would not think.
So he still could go forward on that if he
He
wanted
could, but I doubt it because there really aren't any facts to go forward with. I was in court today. I stopped to see him, but we didn't make connection.
All right. Thank you. Chief.
Nothing tonight, Your Honor.
Mr. Spangler.
Nothing tonight, Your Honor.
Under trustees, Mr. Belsley.
Nothing this evening.
Mr. Hare.
Yeah, I just wanted to point out one thing. Over the last few months, it's been a privilege to kind of oversee the fire and the emergency personnel, and I was able to get to a continuous training program. So I just kind of wanted to make the village residents aware of the continuing education that actually happens with our fire and our emergency personnel, and also the cooperative effort that they do with the police enforcement. And it was a really interesting, a couple weeks ago, it was a really interesting meeting that they had where they brought in a company, or actually kind of an offshoot of OSF that responds to emergency disaster situations where they can actually mobilize a external hospital. So it was just, for me, as you get more involved with the village elements and you see the continuing education with those folks that are sitting over there, I feel like I'm in a lot better hands. So I just wanted to say my appreciations for that, and to see that it was a very good exercise to see what was happening with your guys' time and training, so appreciate that.
Trustee here, and Fire Chief, lady I talked to about a week ago, maybe 2 weeks ago, had a chimney fire here in Morton, and she complimented our firemen. They found it, they stayed to make sure it was out, complimented the chief, and everybody was there. She said that was just a class act, how they took care of it and found it and made sure it didn't come back up in the flue. So she was very appreciative of everyone's efforts.
Great job. Ms. Herman.
Nothing tonight, Your Honor.
Mr. Kaufman?
Nothing tonight.
Thank you. Mr. Newhouse?
I have a handful this evening, Your Honor. In your packets and in front of you are the documents that go with these. Ordinance number 12-33 rezones property at 495 East Cortland. That is a case where we had a landlocked piece of property zoned to B3. The owners wished to rezone it to I2 consistent with their other property, and there is no conflict, no reason not to rezone. Actually is a benefit to the company if it expands. Move to approve.
Second.
Discussion? Roll call.
Newhouse.
Yes.
Yarko.
Yes.
Belsley.
Yes.
Hare.
Yes.
Herman.
Yes.
Kaufman.
Yes.
Motion passed.
In another rezoning ordinance, number 12-34, we are rezoning the property at 300 West Cortland from I-2 to I-1. This is property that was acquired by the village adjacent to the firehouse, to the rear of the firehouse, currently, I believe, being farmed, and it simply brings it into consistency with our other property there. Move to approve.
Second.
Discussion? Roll call.
Yarko.
Yes.
Belsley.
Yes.
Hare.
Yes.
Herman.
Yes.
Kaufman.
Yes.
Newhouse.
Yes.
Motion passed.
Now, with respect to development of property, we have an ordinance annexing property in Orchard Hills, Section 8. It's on the table in front of you. That is part of the continuing development of the Orchard Hills subdivision. Move to approve.
Second.
Discussion? Roll call.
Belsley.
Yes.
Hare.
Yes.
Herman.
Yes.
Kaufman.
Yes.
Newhouse.
Yes.
Yarko.
Yes.
In conjunction with that, we have a preliminary plat approval that goes with that same annexation, and necessary, of course, to proceed with the development, and again, move to approve.
Second.
That was a second?
Yeah.
Thought you said present.
Second.
Okay. My hearing ain't bad, you just went bad. Discussion? Roll call.
Hare.
Yes.
Herman.
Yes.
Kaufman.
Yes.
Newhouse.
Yes.
Yarko.
Yes.
Belsley.
Yes.
Preliminary plat approval for Wolf's Crossing subdivision, Phase 3. These are lots that are now being platted into the development. Again, move to approve. This is part of the normal expansion of the building project.
Second.
Discussion? Roll call.
Herman.
Yes.
Kaufman.
Yes.
Newhouse.
Yes.
Yarko.
Yes.
Belsley.
Yes.
Hare.
Yes.
And finally, again, if you look at your documents, you will see the preliminary and final plat for the Kaler Souder subdivision, and that also is ready for action. Move to approve.
Second.
Discussion? Roll call.
Kaufman.
Yes.
Newhouse.
Yes.
Yarko.
Yes.
Belsley.
Yes.
Hare.
Yes.
Herman.
Yes.
And that's all I have, Your Honor.
All right, thank you.
Your Honor, I'd just like to remind citizens that last year we had 72 homes built in Morton, and tonight we just expanded on 2 or 3 housing subdivisions. So as we had our joint board meeting, other communities don't have this problem. Morton's subdivisions are still growing, and hopefully we might beat that 72, because that was the second best home built permits in 28 years, I believe, wasn't it, Raj?
At least 22.
22. So just to remind the citizens, things are happening.
At present, I think we have about 200 buildable lots in inventory, and at the current rate of Morton growth, which is about 1% per year over the last 35 or so years, we'd be talking about, say, 3 years or so for those to be built out.
Mrs. Yarko.
Nothing tonight, Your Honor.
All right, closed session tonight, we have 2 items. The first one being discussion of purchase of lease of real property for the use of public body pursuant to Section 2C5 of the Open Meetings Act. And also the second one is the sale of property owned by the public body pursuant to Section 2C6 of the Open Meetings Act, and there will not be any action after the closed session. May I have a motion to go into closed session?
Second.
Roll call.
Newhouse.
Yes.
Yarko.
Yes.
Belsley.
Yes.
Hare.
Yes.
Berman. Kaufman.
Yes.
Thanks for coming tonight.